Yo, what is up guys? Party Waffles here, and today I'm coming at you guys with a solo shuffle tips video. There is going to be 4 tips in this video, and if you use all these tips together, it's going to be like completing Exodia. You're just going to obliterate the solo shuffle, okay? I've been #1 solo shuffle this season a couple times, and since DK's got nerfed a couple weeks ago, I was struggling, but then I relearned the fundamentals here and I climbed back. And these are the things that I'm going to teach you. The things that I needed to redo to climb out of my tank. Now I climbed, I got 3 DKs above 3100 in about 2 days. So I can say these consistently work very well. So the first tip we're going to talk about here is, drumroll. Okay, the first tip is offense. This one is pretty straightforward, okay? Look at my damage in the solo shuffle that we're in right now. This is my 3100 game, by the way. Look at the damage in the solo shuffle. I'm doing 42,000 DPS, and there's no pets, okay? I'm fighting against a Destro Warlock, a Windwalker, and an Ardruid. So there's really no pets. There's maybe one pet. I'm barely, I'm not padding. It's just straight damage. So if you can do that much damage, if you can do Mythic Raid amounts of damage, and just focus on the damage, that alone will climb you, I would say, to 2,400 almost. Yeah, I would say you could get 2,400 with that, almost, pretty close. And then you include the other pieces of the puzzle and you'll be set. But yeah, so that's, honestly, I hate to say it, but just do more damage. That's part 1. Try to min-max your damage. But then a lot of people are going to say, oh, I already do big damage and I still lose every game. Well, don't worry. That's where the other tips are going to come in. But yeah, that's #1. Just maximize your damage, but be careful. When you try to get full value out of your cooldowns. If you use a cooldown, try not to get kited on it. Try not to use it before they waste their mobility. Like, say if it's a Warlock, right, and he's going to port away, try to make sure you have grips for it before you go, or something like that, right? Like, you don't want to pop everything and then they get away. But that's the first tip. We want to start with an easy one that you guys probably already know, but yeah, damage, okay? Now, let's get into tip #2, because I hear this a lot. Oh, I top the damage every single time and I still lose. Oh, I play perfectly. I'm top damage. Now that's when the next part comes into play, okay? So what we're going to talk about for #2 here is disruption, because damage is only one piece of the puzzle. So after you can do mythic rating amounts of damage, like you just watch me do there, after you can do that, then you incorporate this. So disruption, it can be through, I'll use my class as an example, okay? A healer is casting, I death grip the cast. Now the healer is beside me. I kick the next cast. I death grip the next cast. I stun silence the next cast. I pet kick the next cast, right? So in order to be able to do these things, though, you're going to have good positioning, and you're going to need to be positioned close enough to the healer to do that, right? So if the team is attacking you, like say it's 2 melee and they're running at me, right? So I can drag them towards the healer so that I can hit them while kicking the healer on cooldown. If the team's hitting your partner, you can grip the priest in to kick them. But disruption can be for any class, can be disruptive, right? But the thing is, so you want to have, this is the goal, put out massive amounts of damage and then disrupt the healer's casting as much as you can, right? So with kicks and everything like that. Because everything you do to the healer to make him stop his cast or whatever, fall behind, he's going to start falling behind, right? He's going to fall behind, he's going to fall behind. And if you're playing at lower rating, it's going to snowball and they're just not going to be able to catch up. And you can end the game really fast, especially if you're min-maxing your damage. So you want to be as disruptive as possible, okay? Another thing to go with disruption is you got to be careful with the positioning though, all right? Because you don't want to drag them all the way to their healer. You got to play it by ear, right? So if you have a lot of pressure, you guys can push in and go be really disruptive. But sometimes you got to be careful and you got to pull back, right? And you can disrupt them another way. So you could pull back to your pillar, and you could grip them behind the pillar and stun them there, which is going to force them to come into you, right? So you can be disruptive and you can dictate the positioning of the game yourself a lot of the time with death grip and with just kiting. So yes, that's #1. Put out max amounts of damage as much as you can. Try not to burst into defensives if you can also, like that. As Death Knight, it's hard to swap because of the pets and everything, so I kind of go through CDs sometimes, but a lot of classes try not to burst into too many defensives. And then #2, be disruptive as possible. So if you're doing those two things, it's going to be really hard on the healer. They're going to fall behind a lot, and depending what your rating you're playing at, that might even be enough just to win right there. So then the next thing here, this is when it becomes game changing, okay? Because I know a lot of people do those two things that they just said. Although anytime I've watched anyone's VODs and they say they're playing perfectly, they're not being as disruptive as they need to be, which is what I just explained. Because the disruption is what's going to set up kill windows too, right? Like kicking and sudden silencing and everything like that. That's going to set you up to kill windows. But let's talk about step 3 here, okay? Because this one is also important. This one is game changing, all right? They're all game changing. They really are. Like if you don't have the whole package, you're not going to climb consistently, and that's just the way it is, right? So you got to have all these. But the third one here is defensive, okay? I hear this the most. Oh, I do so much damage. Oh, I'm kicking. I'm doing all these things, right? I'm kicking. I'm whatever. I'm disrupting the healer. I'm doing all the damage. But we still lose because my teammates die. If your teammates died, it's probably your fault. I'm going to be honest. A lot of the time, it's your fault because there's from what I've seen from people's VODs and everything like that. Because you have a lot of peels. Death Knight. I'm speaking Death Knight in particular, but every class has peels, right? So I'm going to give you a scenario. I blind something, okay? I use my blind and I blind a cast or something stupid that doesn't make sense. I blind one thing. Anyways, and then we're fighting a Windwalker monk. And then that Windwalker monk pops Serenity. The Windwalker monk sweeps everybody, and then he pops Serenity, which is his one shot. I could have just blinded that Serenity, right? Like when the monk pops Serenity, I blind the Serenity, and if he trinkets the Serenity, I stun the Serenity. And then boom, I just peeled the Windwalker monk's entire cooldowns. My teammate's fine, right? Or my warlock ports away from a warrior. I grip the warrior. Okay, the warrior leaps again. I grip the warrior again. And then boom, the warrior has no gap closer now. My warlock is just free to play the game. Casts his magic, and then we just win the game, right? Because if you don't grip the warrior, then he's just going to sit there on the guy and kill him instantly, right? So just throw a chains, you got to help your teammate, right? It's a team game. Because sure, your teammate might not use their defensives effectively, right? So you need to just make it as easy as you can for them. The thing about solo shuffle is it's not team shuffle, right? It's solo shuffle. You are the solo, right? So if you want to climb, you need to be the difference maker, okay? You need to be the difference maker doing everything. Disrupting, offensive, save your team, everything, right? So and you need to use your defensives early too. Another thing I learned about defensives after I tanked was the meta got a lot faster, okay? The meta got a lot faster when everyone got tier sets and everything like that. So you need to use your defensives really early, like when you're high HP. So say I'll give you a warrior pops avatar on you. The second he touches you and he pops avatar, just press IBF. Don't wait. Do not wait until you're low HP. Because if you wait till you're low HP, your team's going to press something too, and then you're all going to press something, and you're not going to have anything, and you're just going to lose the game. So melee pops a CD on you, you pop IBF instantly. Casters pop CDs, anti-magic zone your team instantly at high HP, right? Try to use your CDs first because you just think like this. Like think, hey, if I use this slow, my healer's going to use something too, and then we're going to use both by accident, and we're going to lose. So try to avoid that like the plague, all right? And that's... As far as defensive, that's pretty straightforward now. So just peel for your team more. Use everything in your kit, okay? Your blind, your grips. I'm speaking for Death Knight, but I'm sure you guys know your kit in your class. Chains of Ice. Use everything. Every single ability you use, you need to think, what value did I get out of this, okay? Like if you blind something and it wasn't that high value and you lose, just think like, okay, I should have blinded this next time, you know? Or I need to kick this, right? You need to make sure you're kicking on cooldown defensively too. Defensively or offensively, depending what position you are in the game, right? Like if you're dying, obviously kick something defensive. If you're going to end the game, then kick something offensive, right? Like kick a heal or something. But you got to play it by ear. But so let's cover again. We have offense, we have disruption, and we have defense, okay? So the fourth thing here. This one is the most important. I swear to God, this one's the most important. This is the thing that I changed the most, okay? This is the thing that I changed that instantly went me up 500 rating in one day. Not even kidding. I was stuck for like a week, and then I did this, and I instantly went up 500 rating. So you might not want to hear this, but this is the truth, okay? Mindset. It's literally so much in your mindset, you have no idea. The reason I was like stuck 2700 after I tanked, and then I just kept blaming my team, and I'd be like, because I can see my team's cooldowns, right? If you look at my screen right now, you can see them on the left. So I would be blaming my team, and I'd be like, oh, blah blah blah, and my guy didn't use his whatever dome, or he didn't use whatever, and it would piss me off. It would piss me off, you know, it really would. And I'd be like, oh man, I'm just getting trolled all the time. I can't climb. But what I changed my mindset, okay? I changed my mindset to this. I can see all my games back, right? So I would look, even if it was an obvious troll, I would look at my games back and I would see what only things that I could do better, okay? There's going to be scenarios where no matter what, you couldn't have carried the game, okay? There is going to be those scenarios, but they're very rare. They are very rare. I even thought I had some on stream the other day, and then I looked back and it was like, oh, I had a 1 second window to trinket the poly and kick a cast, and then we could have potentially won. Or, oh, if I blinded one global earlier, I could have blinded the team and we had a chance to win, you know what I mean? So I promise you, you can play better. So unless you're literally number 1 right now and you're winning every single round, you should probably just focus on yourself and not worry about your team and just focus on your gameplay, because that's the only thing you can change, right? Like, you can't change, like, you can't play your teammate's character for them, but you can play yourself better. Like, you can play your character better though, right? You can, and I know for a fact you can. And if you say you're playing perfectly and your stuff 2K rated, I would challenge you to send a VOD in my Discord and I'll watch it and review it with you on stream. But that's the biggest thing. Just literally don't tilt, okay? Do not tilt. That's the thing. If you look at your teammates and you're like, oh, this guy trolled me, you're just going to piss yourself off and you're going to tilt. And if you tilt, it's not going to be good. That's not how you win. Trust me. You play horrible when you're tilted. You don't think straight. Literally just focus on your gameplay. I'm telling you, because that's what I did 2 days ago. That's what I did. And I had like 2 DKs and they were 2,500. And then now every single DK is 3,100. And I've only lost, like, and by loss, I mean like go 2-4. One lobby. And I still got points because my MMR was so high from winning every game. So that's it. You just need to focus up when you play. Treat every single game like it's sweaty, okay? Even if you lose one game, don't let it carry into the next one. Just focus up like it's a fresh game every single time. Game face, and just try to improve yourself as best you can. That's it. If you can record the games and look back, even better. But I promise you, if you do that and you only look to improve yourself and you don't worry about the trolls, then it's good. Like, sure, you're going to have the games where someone just dies in the first global or something, or like, believe me, I've been through the ringer. I got my DKs. So last week, I got 2 of them to 2,900. And then as soon as I got 2,900 on it, my healer DC'd for 3 games. And it was only the 3 games of my team. And I instantly lost it all. So trust me, I know how frustrating it can be. I know. But you just need to focus on yourself, because that honestly is my biggest tip. Like, no, not even kidding. That's my biggest tip, because I already knew how to do the damage and stuff, but I couldn't do the disruption right. Like, if you don't think and focus on yourself and just realize that you need to play better, then you're just going to write it off and you're going to be like, oh, you know, my teammate should have pressed this thing, when really, even if your teammate didn't press their defensive, you still could have blinded their entire team, which would have stopped them for 3 seconds to live, and then you could have got the kill potentially, right? Like, it's just it's basically just a cop-out, so don't do that. It's just, if any of you ever played League of Legends, it's the same thing, and don't blame your team. Just literally get better yourself and you will climb, I promise you. But just do all those things, all those pieces of the puzzle that I just gave you, and yeah, you might be thinking like, oh, I already know these, but just, well, if you know them, then do them more frequently, right? Like, you just have to be consistent. If you do these things consistently, you will consistently win, okay? But anyways, yeah, that's my solo shuffle tips video for you guys. So I hope you guys learned something from this. But yeah, leave a note in the comments when you gain 1,000 CR in solo shuffle and everything like that. And I'll see you guys on the next video. The next video is going to be a solo shuffle tier list for the current patch. So after my solo shuffle experience, I made a tier list. So that should be fun. Anyways, you guys can catch me live on twitch.tv/partywafflesx. But I am out of here. Peace, boys.